Hello and welcome to another Gaunt Marches session. My name is Horst. I'm your completely impartial and fair judge, and I'm joined by four beautiful players. And I think we start the session with again with before the title comes up, we have a small scene either from last adventure, some memorable action that you've shown, or maybe in the case of Anebri, an adventure he had before he reached Goat Bridge. So, and maybe you can describe how your character looks like and what they did in the scene. So let's start with Fraunin, played by Mikael.
Yes, I remember being attacked by this giant heap that we thought was an island or something. And that Fraunin swam under it and eventually managed to kill it with his short sword. After swimming under it. It was very, very heroic.
And how does Fraunin look like?
Fraunin is a halfling, and I had a very appropriate picture here last time, but that disappeared. And it has like a triangular leather hat, and most trademarkable feature is probably the eye patch, naturally.
Awesome. A tricorn head and an eye patch. That's a pirate right there. And then we have Li Fu, who calls Fraunin his boss. Her boss, I'm sorry.
So what I would imagine is she runs up same battle with that big like murky, muddy like island goblin. She runs up like the raft, which the goblin is wearing as a hat right now, and then she swings her mace down and smashes him in the face, screaming in rage. Now, what she looks like is she has sort of like long, sort of dark, curly hair, really kind of big face, usually laughing, powerfully built, short, squat. She's a dwarf. She usually has a smile on her face. She's usually laughing, but at that point, she thought that her boss had been like killed by the goblin, so she wasn't in a good place.
Fair enough. And then we have Anil Madith, played by Asbjørn.
Anil Madith is played actually by the actress Tilda Swinton. She's this really quite tall, gaunt elf. With classic elf features, high cheekbones, and sort of ears that stick a little bit out. And I think the scene we see is after she's sort of wading through this swampy water with the remains of this swamp shambler and digging to get the magic user who I'm sorry, I forgot your previous magic user name, but
Istvan.
Yeah. She's dragging him out of this swamp shambler and sort of hugging him tight, but it's too late. He's gone. You see these horrible digestive juices of the swamp shambler has turned his entire body red. And you probably end the shot with a view of just a beautiful flower that was growing in this, like a water lily, growing in this swamp chamber, just sort of floating away.
Beautiful. And then we have Anebri. Alyosha, what would be a scene from Anebri's adventures?
So imagine her, like, kind of, we see her from behind, like her back turned to the camera, searching some room and finding a bowl with something inside, like quicksilver. And then we hear like boom, 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 and the camera swings and we see like a door being kicked in. And so and the door is bursting and some whitish bloated bleached creature is coming through there. It's like something like a giant maggot, and Anibri is like spilling the liquid in the bowl, and it's kind of sinking into her hand, and she doesn't have time to really pay attention to that and just has to run for it. And we see her kind of jumping out of the door and jumping out of a ruin in the swamp. And that's kind of the origin story of this Quicksilver spell.
Awesome. All right. So after returning from your last adventure, I think Fraunin and Lifu decided to lick their wounds, so to speak. And where would you do that? So there's this one apparent inn, which is a makeshift, which is actually a barn. So it's slightly above sleeping outside, I guess, concerning the comfort. You can also say there are a couple of abandoned buildings in the on the edge of town, or you can, if you have a tent, you can obviously sleep in a tent. But if you want to sleep in the barn, then you have to pay the price. And then my question would be, how long do you want to stay there? So, Lifu.
Well, I'll follow you wherever you want, boss. I could use maybe a drink. I think maybe like the inn would be the best place to go. Like, we have a bit of money.
Yeah, and Fran is like, yeah, and food, lots of food.
Yeah, I'm starving.
I think it's settled then. We're going to the barn.
All right, and so your let's see, the rate you are healed is also based on the quality of the place you stay. So let's see. Where is it? Oh, at least that was in the last iteration of the rules. Let's see.
It's in the inventory. Marketplace.
Recover. When you rest for a week, you heal hit points, ability points, and or injuries according to your lodging. So I think this is a poor inn. So if you want to, I mean, it's cheap at least. If you want to spend the week in the barn, there would be 2d6 plus your constitution modifier that you would heal.
I'm not sure if we were planning to stay that long. I mean, I missed 1 HP, so technically speaking. But what you're thinking? How long are we staying in town before going on new adventures?
Actually, I think Emil will argue that we should stay a while because we need to find a buyer for the frogman eggs, and She also wants, I don't know if she tells you, but she secretly wants to, she keep fresh anyway, but I think she wants to hatch one of them at least, so we can have a tiny frogman baby that will hopefully grow fast and be a potential henchman.
So let's set the scene. You are in the barn. Annabri, you're also there. You're sitting around the table. It's the famous table with a scratched-in map, and you're discussing what to do. And let's say it's like half a day after your arrival.
Yeah, I think at this point, Froning is already like eating 2 full meals.
Yeah, I didn't eat the last day, so I'm joining boss. I may try to outdo him because I'm really hungry.
Yeah, technically, I'm using. Do they have like a hearty meal here?
Oh, they definitely do.
Then I'm having 2 of those.
I think Anil is she's eating some really small like bread or something, but she's ordering. She really got a taste of that fine wine that we're all out. So she orders a bottle to celebrate and shares with the rest. And maybe that's when she sees Anipri when she goes up to order the wine. She stumbles upon her and like, wow, another survivor. This is amazing. I didn't think anyone made it out alive of that horrible storm.
Yes, I made it out alive, but I didn't see any other. So I'm very glad to see you made it out. And I have to say, I just came here. How have you been?
Oh, we've been fantastic. It must be fate that has enabled us to be brought together like 2 leaves in the stream. Come, join us. She picks up the wine and brings her over to the table. And on the way, she says, you wouldn't happen to know anything about frogman eggs, would you?
Would I? Probably not. If you don't know anything about it, why would I know about it? I guess. Huh? So,
I mean, you can always establish a fact about the world if you tell me how you come about your knowledge, or you came about your knowledge.
I think it wouldn't be appropriate if Animadis doesn't know about it. Why would I? So I guess I'm very sorry.
To be the devil's advocate, you are a magic user, and obviously they use all kinds of weird ingredients in their concoctions and spells and so forth, rituals. But it's your decision. I mean.
Okay. So Animadis. In fact, I always use the frog's eggs before.
You're breaking up a little.
To be honest, I always had to use the eggs before they came to fruition. What I do know is that you have to hatch them very warm if you want to have a male frogman. So maybe, I don't know what your purpose would be, but you have to keep it warm if you want to fight the frogman egg.
So I think after we're done here, I should find a quiet place in town or on the edge nearby the water and build sort of like those alligator mounds that bury their eggs in wet leaves and cover it in. But there was like a lot of eggs, right? So it should take a figure, not all of them will hatch, but you take maybe half.
Yeah,
half of
there
them.
were a dozen, so you bury 6 and try to sell the other 6.
Yeah.
But Anebri, can you make a roll plus intelligence to see if you have any kind of special information about them? Or maybe if the information about keeping them warm and wet is actually wrong. I think you're muted, Alyosha.
Got a 6.
Oh, so let's see. So mark intelligence. And Anebri, you were talking with Anil, while you were both going back to the table where Fraunen and Liefer also sit, and Anil is already thinking about where to hatch the eggs and how many to sell and so forth. When somebody runs into you, and they excuse themselves, but you have a close look at their face, and you see that on their face there are like sigils. They don't look like tattoos. They look like natural features of their face. And they excuse themselves and just walk on, unless you do something.
And this is while I'm discussing with Animadith, or?
Yeah. While you were, walking back to the table.
Okay. And so this is kind of looking weird to me, right? This is not.
It's not normal that somebody has like runes or symbols. I mean, even if it were tattooed onto their face, that would already be weird. But it being part of their skin is astonishing.
Okay, so I'm walking up to this person because from my impression, the rune is the rune for an alchemical component that I'm interested in, and I'm thinking that this is some kind of fate. This is not normal. So I'm walking up to the person and like, friend, let me buy you a beer. I am very interested in alchemical components. You happen to know something about that?
So let me grab some dice. Hold on a second. So my instant NPC generator. Let's have a look who this person is. All right, so she is dressed in like this folkloristic clothes that's typical for Goldbridge. It has like a Eastern European style. She wears a long skirt and a blouse with floral patterns embroidered into the blouse, and she has a very elaborate braided hair that you sometimes see in Romania or Poland on the countryside. She's very, very pale skin, and she says, "Why would I know these things? Do you think?"
I'm very sorry. I must have. Is it still there, or do you?
Yeah. She
Okay.
still has the.
Well, you have something in your face, like maybe it's an injury. I don't want to push too much, but it has a very peculiar appearance to me, and I'm a person of knowledge, and I'm very interested in and one of the scars you have is, it reminds me of a symbol.
Agnieszka, do you touch your microphone once in a while?
No.
No. Okay.
Sorry.
So there's some kind of weird noise, but she says, "No, I'm afraid. I don't know where these symbols come from. Some say it is a curse. Some say it's a message from the dead. But I have no knowledge of them, and I can't help you in your inquiry."
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and she touches your hand to show her gratitude that you showed compassion, and you feel that her skin is ice cold.
Say, are you? But I don't want to press too much. But are you feeling well? You appear very cold, my lady.
I'm a bit tired, but I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Well, about that beer I've been inviting you to.
And she turns to the barkeep and says to her, "Can you make it a cider, please?" And then she turns back to you and says, "Thank you, my friend. Thank you."
Okay, out of character, I'm not sure I would. I would rather try to research it, like following her more than trying to.
Yeah, you can definitely study. You were talking now to her for some time, and I assume that you have studied these sigils or these signs. And you can definitely, I mean, when you're staying a couple of days in town, you can definitely research or talk to other people, or look up in your books what the sigils might mean. Okay, so I assume that you go back to the table with the other three adventurers?
Yes, I'm like making a mental note and try to come back to that afterwards.
And Anil, do you introduce him?
Yeah, sure. When this comes back, wine is already done airing out already. Everybody with wines, and I say, "Look, my friends, look what the screens of fate has brought to our table. This is an Ibri, a very wise and respected member of our humble clan. She's an asset. Sorry, she's an asset to any adventuring party. I think it is fate that has brought her here, so she should definitely join us.
Do you like to eat?
Who doesn't like to eat? Ow!
Exactly. And then I think also from stuffs his face some more.
So maybe that is the scene. But what did you decide? So to stay, I think Anil's suggestion was to stay for a week to sort out the frog egg situation. And then maybe Anebri could inquire about these weird symbols. And Frownin and Leafer, what would you do in that time? You could build something or work on a project, maybe.
Well, first of all, how much would it cost to stay for a week?
It's 7 silver pieces.
Oh, for the entire week or day?
For the entire week.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I don't think there's any like forges or stuff around here. I don't think I could really afford a forge.
Well, there is a smith, and he's. I mean, people. If you stay longer than 2 days in the barn, or actually like half an hour, you will know old Tom or Tamash, the smith, who is most of the time drunk. So to persuade him to use the forge will probably cost you like a free beer or something.
Actually, hey boss, while we're like sitting around here during the week, do you mind if I like help out the smith? I'm getting a little rusty with my like forging abilities.
I mean, sure.
Cool.
As long as you come to keep me company for dinner.
Of course. Dinner is the most important. Actually, all of them are important meals.
Oh,
all right.
Dinner is the most important. It's true.
Right. You are right. You're always right. All right. I'll go up to the smith and say, "Hey, I'm a dwarf. I can help you forge. And you look like you can't hold your liquor. So while you're like not holding your liquor, I can do more work for you. Just pay me a little and let me kind of work on my skills."
So the guy turns around, and he obviously has this porous red nose, thinning black hair. He has massive, arms, and a very sad-looking mustache that hangs down in the Eastern European style. And he says, "I can hold my liquor, friend. There was this one time where I drank for 12 days and everyone was unconscious and I still could dance."
Really? My grandfather wasn't even able to do that. Do you have dwarf in you?
No, he's pretty tall.
Now, I don't know how you can do it then. I know most humans who like drink 12 like that end up like dying. But that's pretty awesome. Well, look, what would it take for you to let me kind of like work at your forge? Because I want to kind of like, I'm getting kind of antsy. I have to like, hear the ring of the hammer, like make something. These hands weren't like meant to be idle,
Well, you can work for me if you want.
All right, I can work for you for a week, and then I have to kind of like stay with boss occasionally and have dinner. So as long as that's cool, then, well, I'm your dwarf.
Well, let me just finish my drink and then we walk over to the forge.
Sure.
All right, that is sorted out. And it looks like Frownin wants to gain weight. That's awesome.
Yes.
The more weight boss gets, the wiser he becomes. He stores wisdom in his calories.
It's true. It's true.
And he also
Alright.
floats a lot better with all that padding.
All right, so let's start with Anil. You're trying to find a spot to like hatch the half or like 6 of the eggs. And like what kind of spot do you have in mind?
A wet one.
Well, there's no shortage of wet spots.
No, it's probably starting to have it a little bit out of the way, so nobody sees me. So nobody sees me burying them, and wonders what's up. Well, a little ways, sort of on the outskirts, little hidden by the river.
Yeah, so there's one possibility. You could go down to the river. You could, as I said, there are a couple of abandoned buildings that you can use. And then there's the surrounding area of Goat Bridge is. There's a lot of orchards where they grow, whatever they grow, apples probably, and then there's the part of the swamp that is drained, the peat to the east. But yeah, you can definitely go down to the river and pick a spot that is a bit, outside of frequently used paths or something. And the other 6?
Yeah, the other 6, I probably need to find a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be. Did we know there was something about somebody buying magic?
Yeah, there are a couple of different folks. There's
This guy from Alamein that seeks valuable monster parts.
Yeah. There's the apothecary that you can try your luck. On the market, there are people selling mushrooms and everything, and maybe it is an ingredients.
You heard it was sort of a big delicacy, right?
Yeah.
So either this merchant or somebody.
Yeah, exactly. You could find a merchant who just makes the best omelet in the world, or you could try to talk to Zandor, the servant of the wizard. But I think, tell me who you try first, and then we make the roll.
Yeah, I think this merchant from Alamein sounds good. Because he needs valuable monster parts anyway. Abul Fazl.
So that would be Abul Fazl Zadar. Yeah, make your roll.
And this is plus anything? It's plus the size of the settlement. So this is a village or hamlet.
Yeah, let's see.
Not good. That's a 5 minus probably something. So total pay.
Yeah, just to have find a buyer. Yeah, this is a town, so you get a +1.
Still 6.
Still a 6. And that means you have to. All right, so Abdul Fazl, let's see. Yeah, so you had to go to the west of town. So the town itself is very picturesque. You have this thatched roofs. Most of the buildings are wooden buildings. Everything's like quaint and neat, and you have cobblestone streets. And there are a couple of these old imperial stone buildings. But at the moment, there is like a camp outside of town. like a tent city almost. There are 4 or 5 big tents from colorful silks, and that is where the people fleeing from and chaos and Elamine settle down, and they have their own like small market where they sell, for example, I don't know, furniture that they hauled from their places. Most of the people look like they're obviously refugees. They fled the revolution, but they're well fed and like at least most of the people are obviously rich, and they're selling their jewels and their furniture and their carpets and everything to make a living. And so let me think. So I think when you approach the Abu Fazl, who he has a carpet and his wares laid out to sell. What do you say to him?
My good man, streams of fate has brought me to you. You look like a man of means and like someone who would be interested in more peculiar foodstuffs.
Yes. Fate hasn't been kind to us. I was living in a palace mere 10 days ago, and now I'm sitting in the dirt, selling all my stuff. The heirlooms, my riches, I have to sell to the peasants of Goatbridge who live in the dirt. But yes, I buy and I sell. What do you have, my friend?
And she says, I'm deeply sorry for your misfortune, but in every seemingly random act of fate, there is perhaps some upside, some meaning to be gleaned. And she pulls out these and she keeps them in a like a wet blanket or something. I don't know, they're probably like this big, glistening egg. The smell is a bit odd at first, but I'm told they make a really excellent omelette.
And you don't know what you've said, but he hits out, not hits out, but makes a gesture at the eggs, like to wave you away, and he hits your hand, and the one egg falls to the ground, and it's obviously destroyed. And he says, "I don't want your dirty frog eggs. Go away, and come back if you have jewels."
I'm sorry if your misfortunes have rendered you a bit stale, but I can assure you these eggs are nothing of the kind. But I will take my leave, sir.
All right. So I think you could you can't find a buyer today, but you can try any other of the persons I mentioned the next day. And so, Anebri, what are you trying to do?
In fact, I'm trying to inquire about the woman I encountered, but in secret. I think maybe I followed Anil Madith and try to advise her how she should bury the frog eggs. And then when she's not looking, I'm digging them out and using and trying to hide them to, or at least a bit, one or two of them for a spell component.
Nice. So do you want to follow Anil to find where she hid the 6 eggs, or do you want to steal it from her pocket?
Now I would think I would. I'm joining her in digging them in to just give her advice. And how to do it,
Okay.
But in fact, I have no idea actually.
So I think that is an act of deception, and I think like it might be interesting to see if Anil realizes your evil plan. So Anil, why don't you make a saving throw with charisma? Is that a bad stat? Because
no, it's not a bad stat, but a bad roll. I got a 3.
So when you come back, Anil was accompanying you to the river, and then afterwards you went to the merchant, and you realized there was something fishy, if I might say so. It's not a pun. So you have the feeling that she has he has like something is afoot.
Yeah, maybe because I think she probably Anil fusses over them like a mother. So at least once or twice a day she's there and is turning them and maybe splashing water on them. And so in the evening, perhaps she goes there and she discovers that there's 1 or 3 missing, and she comes to an Hebrew like really. I don't think she suspects anything, but she comes and she's like, something horrible happened. There must be some swamp weasels or something that have got into my nest. You have to come with me. You have to move them. You have to move them to safety. I think one of the abandoned buildings would probably be better.
And you catch me red-handed, or you come to me?
No, I think I don't think I suspect anything. I think I come to you again to help me move them, because I think a swamp weasel has taken them.
So yeah, that's maybe that's a dangerous place. In fact, I'm trying to set up a small laboratory. So in one of the abandoned buildings. So why don't I take care of them a bit and try to keep them warm? And I mean, it can always happen that they go that it doesn't work, and we might lose an egg or two. But I would be glad to take care of your eggs if you don't mind.
Yes, that's we're always such a wise one when we were on the boat. Of course, I trust you totally. I can sense it. Fate is smiling on you.
Well, I'm always happy to help an old friend.
Oh man, the scheming. Mikael, there is an old, like an abandoned building from the Imperial time, from like 1,000 years ago. What is it? It is empty. It's on the edge of town. And what kind of building is it, and why do you think it is abandoned? Why people avoid it?
So this is the end of the like we're in like swampy landscape still, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like an I imagine like an aqueduct or something like that. And I think it's abandoned because I mean it's impossible to keep the water not infected and smelly. So I mean, why use the aqueduct?
Yeah, awesome.
I'm sure there was some kind of like person from somewhere else that had a brilliant idea and built this building, and then that's why you have a local entrepreneur.
Cool. So it's more like a cistern maybe, and an aqueduct attached to it. Maybe the remains of this, like an aqueduct, if I know the word correctly, is on a elevated, like an elevated waterway, and it leads to the cistern that is now abandoned because the water has been spoiled.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if the cistern is really there anymore, but the aqueduct is there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure it was used for other building materials because it was a bigger structure. But like, I don't know, the aqueducts, they stayed for some reason.
So, so you could Anebri. There's also not far from there is the old bathhouse of that is like the old bathhouse that is not in use, with a caved in roof.
Yeah, I am sure that that is what they built from the materials from the cistern.
From the cistern, exactly. And so that is where you could pick up your laboratory if you want to.
Yeah, perfect.
And I think, and then there's obviously Lifur. Lifur's plan to keep in shape by smithing. I mean, is your goal to just exercise to get to keep in shape, or is your goal to make something, maybe a present for Fraunin, maybe like a extra big spoon or something, or like or sharpen your weapons?
Probably. Yeah, I want to actually craft something, but I don't know if a week would be good enough to do it. Unless, like, I could do a spoon in a week. I don't know if I could do a sword or armor.
I mean, you can always work towards it if you want to. Like, I think Fraunin's favorite weapon is a short sword.
Yeah, I'll make a short sword for boss.
So let's say you do need some kind of iron ingots or something, which old Tom is happy to sell to you. And it would be, let's see, iron ingot is the marketplace. Like it's the item itself divided by 5. Yeah, let's say can't find a short sword at the moment. Let's say it's 5 silver pieces for the material.
Done.
Okay, and then you roll plus your. Is it dexterity, strength? What do you think? Is it brute strength? Is it delicate touch?
Oh, it's not delicate. All my weapons are they're very good, but functional. They've been hammered perfectly.
Let's do strength then.
Yeah, it doesn't look pretty, but it will stab people really well. All right, I shall roll and see what I get. Let me see. I have +2. I roll a 7.
So make a progress clock with 4 segments and fill in 1.
I shall do so.
And also, all right, and that's it. So in the forge, there's also a younger assistant to old Tom, who's doing all the work actually, while Tamash is spending most of his time in the barn. He will assist you and blow the whatever the air and so on. You can talk a little bit with him if you want to. But that's your week, more or less, spending the time in the forge.
Yeah, I'll probably get to know him, see, like, what's his story. It's kind of odd that, like, human guys tend to forge, but, I'm open-minded.
So he's very athletic, a hardy person, pretty young, maybe 17, and he speaks very highly of old Tom most of the time, and you get the impression that he is a bit simple-minded, maybe not the sharpest tool in the box, but definitely trustworthy and overall friendly.
Well, if he talks up his boss, I'll talk up my boss. Like, he's a super genius. He he's gonna rule the kingdom someday. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Smash cuts to like the barn where Fran is like just in the middle of a burp.
And probably the camera pans to old Tom while we get the still the sound from the forge, and he says, "I don't know about your boss, but my boss is the real deal. He's smart, he's strong, and he knows what he's doing." And that is the moment where old Tom's head just slips on the bar, where he's snorts into a puddle of beer.
Yeah, I've heard his drinking, how well he drinks, and even for a dwarf, that's amazing. So I will agree, he does seem pretty awesome. I mean, my boss, not so much good with the liquor, but brain-wise, amazing. Like, super genius and an amazing sailor. It brings a tear to my eye.
All right, next day, trying to sell. Well, are there any frog eggs left, Anebri?
Yeah, I got 2 spare components, so I think I took 2.
Mm-hmm. But you keep the other 4 safe.
Yes, for now, because I want to use them later.
And do you want to inquire, do you want to make spell components? Do you want to inquire about the sigils? What is the rest of the week looking for you?
I think because I got the spell components already, I think I would rather just, say it was the X and inquire after the strangely cold woman.
Mm-hmm.
Who has not introduced herself, right? We haven't.
No, you didn't exchange any. So if you do you do you talk to somebody about her? Do you there's a library in the town which is part of the Church of the Lady of Pain, and there's also, I assume that you have some kind of books, probably. Do you have books?
Yeah, and I got I don't know how that will work in downtime, but I got a spell that's called Kulgat's Lore Eyes. So maybe I could, maybe I would just talk to the barkeep who was that, remember this woman I was talking to. And next time I meet her, I would try to use the spell to see whether there's something magical about her, or maybe just see her history, her aura.
So her name is Aranka, and the barkeeper can tell you where she lives, and I don't know how often she comes to where she works. She works as she collects mushrooms in the forest and sells them on the market. So when you know her name, do you follow her into the forest, or do you observe her? When she's selling the mushrooms, what do you do?
Yeah, I think I would just come up to her stall when she's selling the mushrooms, and just talk her up, like, well, I've been thinking about you. You haven't appeared very well to me, and I was very, I was a bit, how to say it, had some sorrow when I was thinking of you, and and I'm just trying to touch her hand again, and like touch her shoulder, and try to feel her condition magically.
So you want to cast a spell, I guess? So let's see how that works. I think the effect is probably minor. You touch her, it's a single target. And so you spend 1 point, and you can increase the effect, get more information, or you can increase the duration.
My power is 2, so I would spend the other point of power to increase the effect.
Cool. And what do we see? Like, you touch her, is there anything else? Is there like, I don't know, your eyes start glowing? Is it like you have to say something? Is it completely inside your head? Is it a gesture? How does the spell manifest? Or how do you cast the spell?
Maybe it's like, I got these dark veins in my hands since I touched the Quicksilver bowl, and maybe these veins extend illogically to her, and yeah.
Awesome.
And maybe from my hand through my arm to my face and eyes.
Creepy. Okay, so let's make the roll.
Okay, I got a 5. No, 6.
This is bad. I mean, you can always burn luck, or you can accept the terrible consequences.
How do I burn luck? It's just mark it down and.
I think so. So let's see. Let's read the move. When you have made any roll except a luck roll, you may burn 1 luck to raise or lower the result of that roll by 1. So you reduce your luck by 1 and add 1 to your roll.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. It'll go from 6 to 7. So in fact, that would be useful.
Yeah. So the effect is the spell works as intended, but you burn 1 intelligence. And so while you touch her, you hear whispering voices in your head. It's like a voice, voices actually, and they are whispering names into your ears, and you know that these are long forgotten names from that are not used anymore. And before your eye, you see it looks like gate, and on the balcony there stands a figure in the shadows, and that figure has raised their hands, and before the estate, before the manor, there is like a crowd of people, maybe I don't know, 24 or so, standing completely still. And when they move their hands, these shadowy figure on the balcony, they move as if controlled by like puppets on a string or something. And on this creepy note, I would say let's have a 5 minutes break. Awesome. And another information, obviously, because your spell, you wanted to know what's happening exactly, not just in metaphorical terms. So you get from that vision, you glean that there's obviously some kind of evil spirit that raises the dead, and the symbols that appear on her face are the symbol of like dead patricians, patricia. What is the word? Like, yeah, nobility from past times who died, and they probably made a pact to come back and be, in how far it affects her. She's probably will be replaced by somebody else sooner rather than later. So what do you do with the information?
So like she's like inhabited like by. Does like you mean replace? Do you mean like she's going to be inhabited by someone else, or?
Yeah, that's how it looks like.
Okay.
That somebody will be reincarnated or brought back in her body. Or maybe that her spirit is sucked out and the spirit of the other person is, blown in.
Well, I think for the moment that's I'm trying not to make not to be too obvious about it, but I would really like to learn the spell.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're definitely perplexed by the effect of the spell. It was a bit too much for you to all take in. That's why you have to burn one intelligence point. But you will definitely, when you get your wits back, you can try to, find other magical ways to get more information, either about the shadowy figure or the exact working of the spell, or both.
Sure.
All right, so I think there's not much more to do in town except selling the other eggs.
Well, actually, Frownen probably during the week, because we don't have a raft anymore. We only have this bog thing.
That's true.
So I was thinking, of course, rafts are expensive. So I was thinking Frownen probably will go to work at trying to make this floating ex-home of frogmen more safe.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that?
How does it look exactly?
Well, it does look like, at the moment, it looks like a gigantic bird's nest. So it's rather round in shape. It's made from logs and straw and mud, and kept together by withful thinking and willpower.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making like a shape around it with like logs and stuff, and probably like get some that goes across under it, so that doesn't just dissolve.
Yeah.
If somebody looks at it the wrong way.
So you go.
And I probably have some help from my friend Hajnal, who was the previous owner of this raft that we had. Definitely,
Heinal is following you, and he also, we were a bit unclear about their gender, and they never, said anything about it, but they're pretty androgynous, so they definitely follow you to the forest to cut down a couple of smaller trees, bring it to the makeshift raft, and help you making it a bit more solid. And I think we just want to see like how well you do it, not so much whether or not you do it. You do it. You can't destroy it as either. But is this more like a delicate project, or is it more focused? Is it strength? What do you think?
I mean, I actually kind of think it's strength, because it's pretty obvious what you need to do. It's just, you need to really make the materials glued together, which is pretty much like a physical thing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Let's roll plus strength.
Do you have the link for the?
Oh, I actually don't. Let's see.
I can also roll with my real dice. So that...
Yeah, just use your real dice.
That is a 5.
Yeah, I think it's just really ugly. I think that the frame that you built underneath is not really even either, so it's a bit slanted. And
can I take my time doing this?
Yeah, you can definitely see, because it doesn't take a week. You like put in work for 2 days, and you see that really is not how it should look like.
Yeah, I think it's a grumpy halfling at the inn on the evening. God damn it! Building boats are much harder than I thought.
Let's have a small scene, so everybody comes together. Anil with trying to dropping the one frog egg. Anebri with his weird vision from I don't know, some kind of death wizard. I think the person with the best spirit is Lifur, who just worked all day, exchanged stories, and accomplished what she wanted to accomplish.
Well, good for her.
It's great to be at the forge again. Oh, nothing like it. Well, maybe drinking.
Yeah, and I think Fran is just like slams like his mug into the table and is like, I wish I had a profession that was building something.
Well, boss, if you want to learn how to forge, I mean, I know it's weird that guys do it here, but you can do it if you want.
I want to build boats. That's what I want to do. Mostly because that would save us a lot of money on buying a new raft, and this freaking bog. I don't know, this nest that we brought, it's not exactly solid.
Oh.
And turns out I'm not very good at fixing it.
Well, they are difficult. I mean, back home, we really didn't have many boats. We kind of left that for the humans.
Yeah, look over. Well, we don't have any humans here, so.
Neil always sits down. She seems really out of it as well, and maybe for the first time she is starting to doubt that Pen, her goddess, is watching over her, and she says, "Nobody wants to buy our frog eggs, and those horrible swamp weasels. They got into the nest and they stole 2 of the eggs. I mean, why would they do such a horrible thing?" She looks just really dejected.
They stole from you. I could dump them if you want.
No, they're probably just doing what's in their nature.
Didn't you sell them?
Nobody wanted to buy them. Or I don't know. Maybe he couldn't afford it. He looked a bit down on his luck.
Well, that's unfortunate. I guess Well, I'm getting another drink.
Wait, boss could sell the eggs because he's amazing, and you have like things with like water and stuff. You could build a boat. Switch jobs.
It's true, I have built a couple of fine boats in my life, but I mean, yeah, sure. You have to haul out the logs on the water, and it's really hard when it's a storm. You have to rope them all together and boil the pitch, and it's all going up and down. But after a while, you get better. They get tight.
That's a little surprising, I have to say, but sure, if you can make the raft float, I guess I can sell eggs.
And she hands you this wet and fishy, stinking packets of eggs, and I don't know, picks up your hammer or whatever you were, or maybe you didn't even have the proper tools. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. What was I even doing that with?
Yeah, we assume that Heinal, who already made his or their craft, has tools, so that's the ones you were using. All right, if Anna-Brie, do you want to react to the story with the weasels whose evil nature forces them to do evil things, or do you just let it slide?
Yeah, I'm just looking really downtrodden by this cruel fate, and just maybe saying like I was already going to the bathhouse, so I have a good foundation, and the weasels can't dig through, but they're really vicious. But I might help to lift your spirit. I might help you build the flow, like the flow as like the raft, as as we have to do in our initiation rite.
Yes, I would really like it. I think it would lift my spirits a little bit.
And if I find the weasels, I'll bash them and make you a coat.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I really like the coat.
All right, so the next day, unless you want to do anything at night, Fraunen is trying to sell the eggs. So who do you want to sell it to, or do you want to leave it open and we just roll?
The first thing I do is, of course, clean this up, because everybody knows that selling things is all about the appearance of the things.
So when you look at them, you can already see like small creatures who has formed inside of the eggs, and they are moving around.
Well, that's unfortunate. Well, maybe there are people looking for, ready to hatch froglings. I don't know.
Well, there are a couple of people I could think of. There's definitely the apothecary, and then there's Sandor, the servant of the wizard.
And O'Neill, of course.
Yes, Anil, who wants to hatch froglings.
Yeah. No, I think. I mean, I don't think it's good business to sell it to someone in our group. So I'm trying. I think I the first thought is going to the wizard's assistant or whatever, because I mean, it seems like the person who has the most money, possibly.
Yeah, the apothecary.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, sure.
So make your roll. Let's see how he reacts. It's +1 because you're in a town.
Let's see. I'm having yellow dice here then. Well, that's 3. I rolled snake eyes, so good times.
Oh. I'm running out of hard moves, guys.
Well, I can mark. So what happens when I have all my attributes marked, by the way?
You can like you have to mark 5 per stat, and if you mark the 5th stat, you can raise it the next time you level up.
Yeah, okay. So I'm doing the opposite of the correct tactic.
You're spreading the love around.
Yes. Good times.
Yeah, so let me get back to you. In any case, the apothecary says, well, like fresh eggs, obviously, you can use it for all kinds of things, but you know, you cannot sell these. Oh, and I would get rid of them because as soon as they hatch, you know, they will cry for their mama. And I know that they are called frogmen, but they are frog wives, and they are fierce.
Good to know.
And then let's build the craft. Let's build the raft. I mean.
All right. So me and Anibri head down to the dock.
The water, yeah, and Heinal, who's also helping.
And we look at that hideous monstrosity that Browning has made. I think Frowning. I hesitate to say this, but I think maybe we should stay to the grog.
Heinal says, I didn't want to say anything because Frownin seems like easily enraged, but this is just not how you build a raft.
Well, you better heat up the pitch, Heinal. We're set to work.
Okay,
So,
then you, yes, please.
Is it maybe he used brute strength? So maybe
yeah. I don't know. I mean, you seem to have some kind of expertise.
Yeah. I don't have a delicate touch, so I would be hoping that it either requires good intuition or intense focus.
Yeah, I think it's probably focus because you rely on your knowledge from from your heritage.
And Anibri is 18.
Are you
For a
18?
change.
Okay, helping for a change.
It would be like a nice scene if they sort of you see them handing the pitch to each other and fletching these sort of swamp branches and sort of falling into a familiar rhythm that they've developed over many years on the scene. I could see it being helped. But I'll roll. What's in? Let's see. Do I have any plus? Yeah, actually I have a +1 in it. So I really need that 8. I got a 5 plus 1. It's a 6, but with 8 I get a 7.
So let's see. 8 is how do you help? Do you help with your knowledge, or do you like hold stuff so it's more strength? You could point flaws in the in the plan.
Yeah, it would. probably rather, rather. Well, my wisdom is extremely bad, so maybe
wisdom
rather.
would be like perception, and you see that something's wrong, and then you can talk about it. Intelligences would probably be like theoretically talking about how the raft could be improved.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll wax away.
All right, so roll plus intelligence.
I got a 7.
So I think what it is, it just takes longer to build the whole thing, and it's definitely better than whatever Frownin had in mind or left for you guys. But it's not the best draft ever built. I don't know. We theoretically, Frownin, you could make another attempt to sell the eggs.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it can't go on forever. I have to get rid of this anyway. If not, I'm just gonna, I don't know, throw them in the back in some kind of back alley and come get money for cleaning this up afterwards. But yeah, that was there was some other person I could sell to, right? Also?
Yeah, there's Sandor, which is this guy with yeah, he has shifty eyes and like a ratty face, and he hangs around in the bar a lot and talks to travelers. This pointy chin.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to sell it to him. I'm like, look, I know it's not normally okay to sell almost living things to people, but if you don't tell anyone, I won't tell anyone.
Oh, I won't. Trust me. Almost living things are my specialty. Please.
Good to know, I guess. Yeah, and I like show them to him. So you're taking them off my hands?
Let's have a roll and see.
Oh, hurrah! It's at least not one. I'm on one of my dice, so that's good. That was a +1 for a city as well, right?
Yeah, for town.
Well, that's 9 then.
So let's see.
We did it.
Yes. He's offering 15 silver pieces per egg, which is 60
Cool.
in total.
Yeah, I guess Frownin like makes you probably see him back at like the tavern, like piling them up into 4 piles, even though Anebri didn't really have anything to do with these eggs.
Yeah, and
15 each.
Sandor seems really pleased with himself. Stows them away and hastily leaves the barn.
Yeah, and I think like you see Frownin just like, well, I hope I don't hear anything more about that.
We will see. There's still the 6 that I have to make a mental note of. All right. So unless Anebri wants to do something about the death wizard or whatever that creature is, we are finally ready to travel to the south. All right, so let's see what the weather is like.
It's 15 silver each for the eggs.
What did you say? Sorry.
We get 15 silver each for the eggs.
Yeah, I mean, unless Frownin doesn't share, but he does.
Yes, I actually did. I was thinking about it for a second, but also yes. Before no, actually, I retract that. I use some of the money to buy rations and stuff because you shitheads forgot last time.
That's true.
So I actually think that Fraunen used some of this money on things we actually need, like 10 rations each. So 5 uses. Okay, so a ration has 5 uses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is also interesting because I used a lot more rations than I needed to last time. Then. So that would be at least 4 rations, and I think also he gets a 10-foot pole and a fishing net.
Nice.
Is it 1 weight per 5 uses of rations?
Yes.
Yeah. We should probably load them on the raft then.
Yeah.
You can just made a little space on to the right of the character keeper with stuff on the raft. You can just write whatever you buy up there.
So that's where is the 10-foot pole? Some.
Yeah, I can't see it either. Probably.
There must be one. There must be one. This is a old school game. If there's no 10-foot pole, there's a pole. Yeah, there is. Tools and supplies.
Nice.
There's a pole that's 10 feet long. Good. Okay, so that leaves you with 7 coin each, and since Fraunen takes since it's not possible to divide it up properly, he takes the rest for himself, which is 9.
It's a boss tax. I'm okay with it.
So before we set out, we follow the procedure. So organize the party. I think the last time we already had like a Frownin in the front as the thief and kind of scout. Maybe that makes sense. Who takes the rear? I mean, it's obviously also a raft, so maybe the order is not so important. It's more important what is the order when you take watches.
Well, I'll be in the back because I do a lot of rowing, and if something comes up from behind us, I can smack it.
Yeah, it makes sense to have the cleric and the magic user in the middle. So Anil maybe a second, and then Anebri third.
Did you? How many rations did you buy? Should we each get
2 each?
2 each? Should we write them?
I mean, we can, I guess.
Or we could write them on the raft. Like
That's
rations,
fine.
8 times 5 uses.
Yeah, because I guess we're not carrying like almost 2 weeks of food in our backpack at all times.
It's probably barrels on the raft.
Yeah.
And then there's again the question of the routes. So you can try to avoid the breeding place or the territory of the lizard folk. You also know that the lizard folk and the frog people, they are at war at the moment. So that area, if you would go straight through, that would be a perilous journey, but it would be done in 2 legs. Let's see, straight through this on a raft is 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be 2 legs and 5 days each, but it would be perilous. That's the short. That's the short route. And the safer route would be going around, which is 2 legs and then 7 days each.
Then we probably need more rations, right?
Yes.
Because we have at least 10 rations out there, and then 10 rations back. And right now we have 10 rations each on the raft. So we should probably double it. We each buy 2 rations.
Actually, I forgot the rations last time for boss, so I'll cover it.
So how many do you buy?
I'll buy so there are 4 of us, so we would need 8, right? Or do we just need 1 for each of us?
So depending on what route you take, it would be 14 days in one direction, and 1 ration has 5 uses.
Right. Let's see how much I can afford. And each one costs, I think, 3, right? Well, I'll chip in extra, so I'm going to buy 4. So, and I believe it's 3. I'll just double check. 3 silver per ration. Yep. So I'll buy 4 more sets of rations that we can add to the boat. That costs me 12 silver.
Awesome. All right, I think we are settled. So which route do you want to take? And sorry, Neil, do you take the frog eggs with you? Probably. You want to hatch them?
Yeah, I'll probably check in on them at the lab, and if they have been starting to show signs of life as well and haven't been cooked by anybody, then so if I see that there's life in them, then I'm probably going to take them. That's
Cool.
not going to bite it in the ass at all.
In fact, we could sell them to the lizard people.
I think no. If you suggest that to refugees, no. This last treat, they're going to be the start of my Oh, Jesus, I forgot the name of the religious community. They're gonna be my disciples.
Is disciples like another word for breakfast? Because you elves are going a long way around to make an omelet. Just saying.
Surely not. You're not so barbaric in the dwarven country that you eat live babies, right? And I hold them up to show that they're sort of swimming inside the clear eggs.
Yeah, that doesn't look appetizing. Okay, I get you.
Cool. So which one? The shorter, more dangerous, or the longer, somewhat safer? And mechanically for me, I add a number to the encounter roll so that if you encounter something, it will be worse.
Did the safer route take us through frogman territory? Because then we maybe shouldn't take the safer route.
I mean, you could avoid the frogman territory, but go through the lizardfolk territory, like straight. Everyone agrees to that?
Sure.
I'll go with whatever boss says.
Okay, so perilous, quicker, and through the territory of the lizard people. So what we now do is we set out. So when you set out, it is like a really, really bad day. The clouds are gray and dark, and it's raining constantly. Who is, there are again 2 poles to propel you forward, and I think Lifu is the strong dwarven woman who is doing her duty, and I think if nobody else volunteers, then Heinal would help her. And so we embark on a journey, and we are heading through to the southeast of Eelton. We know the advantage, which is it is quick. The drawback is it is super dangerous, and some of you needs to roll. Maybe a Fraunen, because he's in the front, needs to roll plus -1.
On what? Which?
It's 2d6 -1.
Okay, so there's no stat involved here.
No, it's the safety of the route is involved.
That's 7.
It's a 7. So actually, you make a discovery. So I think the first day, in the rain, you're traveling through already known territory. There's these overgrown trees that stick out of the water. There's tall cypress trees choked by vines. The buzzing of mosquitoes. Well, it's raining, so it's probably not that bad with the mosquitoes. But you can already see a couple of alligators lying still in the water. But you make good, what's it called? Like you make good speed the first day. So at night, Who has the lowest luck at the moment? Let's see.
It's me.
Yeah, it's a Neo. So just for shits and giggles, let's have you roll -1 to pass the night, and everybody erase 1 use of your rations, please.
I'll keep track of it on the raft.
Is it plus nothing?
It's -1 for the
-1?
safety.
Then it's 6.
It's a 6. So
Which move was this? Pass 9?
yeah, pass the night.
So,
Creature finds your camp. But what kind of creature is it? Is it hostile or not? Oh my lord. Okay, so during the second watch, Anil, you hear something in the dark. Where did you set up camp? Like on the raft itself, and then in the cold, or is it one of the small islands?
Maybe we found a small island, yeah, but pulled it up on the bank.
And when you take your watch, do you sit near the fire? Do you climb a tree? What's your routine? Or are you with your mind somewhere else?
Yeah, she doesn't sit by the fire. I think she sits, because it's raining, you said. So she sits and just lets the rain wash over her, and she believes that she can hear the whispering of pen in the rain.
So you definitely hear somebody moving silently, or something moving silently through the water. What do you do?
It's moving through the water. I think she moves down through the water and sort of puts her hand in it to try to sense what is coming, hoping that she'll pick up the screams of weight in the water.
And that is a really smart move. You're trying to get the vibration underwater. I think that's perceive, probably.
Mm-hmm. Alright, and that's perceived, so that's a 10.
Awesome. So you can feel through the vibration in the water that there are 4 creatures, humanoids, like human-sized, who are obviously used to move silently through the water, and they're not running or something. They're definitely sneaking carefully. And you know that they're coming from the north, from the northeast.
And They haven't. They don't know that I know that they're there.
No,
Mhm.
they haven't seen or well, they've probably. I'm not sure. I've said that it's raining pretty hard. So if you had a fire, it probably is out by now.
So can I use one question from Proceed to see if they've noticed me?
Yeah.
And if they haven't, I think I'll just sort of pull back into the rain and let them pass by.
Yeah, they haven't sensed you yet, and you just hope that they pass by without noticing you. I think that is the definition of a luck roll.
Will it?
When you hope things will go your way, roll plus luck.
And they don't, because I have lost the favor of 10, probably that's a 3. So do I mark XP on Get Lucky?
Let's see.
No,
Doesn't
it's
say.
just the judge will say how my hopes are dashed.
Well, your hopes are dashed by, you have sensed the 4 creatures passing by, but there have been a 5th, and the 5th is holding some vicious-looking crystalline dagger to your throat, and they say, "Don't move." And then, oh, what do you do?
I don't move.
And then they make like the sound that, like, you hear these bullfrog sounds all the time, but that seems like a deliberate signal to the other 4, and they approach, and they stand next to your sleeping comrades, the daggers in hand.
Do I see what kind of creatures these are?
Yes, these are like they have they're lizard people. They're of the lizard folk. You can't see the one that's behind you, but the other 2, the other 4 have, like, 2 of them have black and yellow striped coloration. They're wearing some kind. All of them wear some kind of. It looks like a translucent skin around their shoulders, and you do hope it's the skin that they own shed and not the skin of their enemies. They have these, I don't know what the English term is, but they have these elaborate gills that they can, that they can extend to warn an enemy.
So kind of like frills, essentially, or a frond.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a small dinosaur in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they look pretty much like small dinosaurs, but with normal length arms. And the voice says, "Well, you're in sacred territory. Your blasphemy cannot stand."
And he said, "Oh, finally you're here. We've been expecting you. We have a gift from the young of your enemy."
Ooh, that is pretty good. I don't even, well, what would it be? Shall we try out the reaction move? And you get a plus because you have like a really seducing proposition. Let's see, what does the move say? When you encounter a person or creature that has no particular predisposition toward you, well, that doesn't work. They have a predisposition. You want to persuade them to let you pass or treat you, without violence. Is that maybe
Could be
negotiable?
negotiate, or it could be a saving throw with charisma.
Yeah, I think that is the one. It is a saving throw with charisma. I think makes the most sense. And add +1 because you have like a leverage on them.
So that's an 8.
And the voice says, "Show me what gifts you brought."
She was kind of attached to these little guys, so she probably has them like in her by her side. She pulls it out, this slimy, squirming egg. They're probably now almost bursting out.
Yeah, the creatures inside almost have no room anymore. They're properly grown, and unlike like real frogs, they already look like tiny frog men. And you hear like a hissing sound, and I think that's the point where you guys wake up. Like these frills, they all extend when these creatures see the eggs, and there's a hissing all around. And the voice says, "Yes, yes, this will be a great sacrifice." How's the rest of you reacting when you wake up by these hissing creatures?
Well, at the sudden appearance of these things above me, I probably go wag and roll, grabbing my mace, because that's kind of frightening.
Okay, so you grab your weapon. I think that is a saving throw with dexterity, because there's somebody like crouching over you with a dagger in hand.
All right, let us see if this will work or not. I have a normal dex. Oh, I got a 10.
Ooh, wow! So you definitely evade the the dagger that wanted to just slit your throat. You roll out of the way, and you now have you're still on the ground, but you have your mace in the hand. Annabrie, what do you do?
I'm trying to be still and have them not smell the 2 eggs that I got in my pocket.
That's true. And Fraunen?
I mean, I'm probably lying in the front with the gear as my usual position is. So I probably just peek up behind the barrels of food.
Oh, so you've slept on the raft?
No, I mean, yes, it's my home. I'm on a boat.
So I think then the fourth haven't is not standing over you, but standing with the other 3. I mean, Anil, do you want to? The situation now is very charged. There's a Leifer with mace in hand, and the other lizard people are ready to strike.
Yeah, I'll probably shout out, relax, relax. They have received our gifts, and they will let us pass, right? No need for violence here. The fates have brought us together.
Okay, I will look at her. I'll lower my mace slightly and look at her with a little confusion, but go, All right, I guess it's their birthday. I'm looking at them suspicious, but I'm not attacking.
And you see the creature for the first time because they move around you inside, and it is definitely an older lizard person. It has a cut over its snout, and you can just see that it is really, really old. And it says, oh, let's grab a name. They say, I am Kanuna, and these eggs, they will be used in a ceremony to bring pain and misery on the frogs. I thank you, stranger, and I will give you this as a show that you may pass the territory once. Anabri, what kind of, it must be some kind of organic thing that will rot within 5 or 6 days. What does this lizard person give to Anil?
I would say it gives us the tip of its tail, because it goes back and it rots.
Oh, nice. And it will, yeah. So yeah, it cuts, or they cut the tip of their tail and hand it to you. Show this to anyone who stands in your way from the lizard folk. But remember, this is a one-time only offer. Return, and you will be treated as an intruder.
I probably bow to them and say, Kanuna, Anil, a humble servant of fate, thanks you.
And then all of them like move backwards and disappear into the water. Yeah.
I have a question. I look over at the elf and I look at her very seriously. I have a question. Do elves normally befriend lizard folk? I mean, that's okay. It's weird.
And I think when they move out of her range, she sort of visibly sags in relief. That's I just do whatever the screens of fate require of me, young Liku.
Whoa. Your goddess works in weird ways. It's kind of bizarre. I kind of like dwarven deities better. They're predictable. But still, that's cool. I mean, now if you'll excuse me, I'm just gonna calm down. Oh, that scared me. Boss, you all right?
Yeah, I think you probably see Frown like eating on a loaf of bread. It's like, why do you wake me up for this?
All right, so the next, let's say 3 days, you are not molested or by the lizard folk. And on the 5th day, you can see from your from the raft in the evening like a gigantic. It looks like a floating island. It's not like the nest you're on or something. It looks like it is made by moss or a mold, probably, and it has the size of maybe, as far as you can see, like a football field, and it is drifting very, very slowly through the water.
Are there any buildings on it, or is it like a natural structure?
It looks like a natural structure. Do you interact with it in any ways?
Was it an island of moss or of? I didn't quite catch what you said was on it.
Yeah, it's a mold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to. It is definitely a greenish, grayish, and there are other kinds of ferns and stuff like growing on it. There don't seem to be any kind of structures. It is a bit weird that like mold would it would be able to carry like heavier plants on it and still float, but that is apparently what's happening.
I'll look to Nipperi and say, have you ever come across anything like this in your studies?
Well, it's. I'm not sure what this is, but I heard about a certain lichen that has that might be on there and that we could sell maybe.
Okay, how do you know that? Where have you heard that?
Well, I'm imagining an every little like interested in alchemy usually, or mostly, and it's one of those very hard to come by ingredients. I would think, and yeah.
Awesome. So let's make a roll. If that is actually the fact, know something is plus intelligent.
7.
So the lichen that you speak of is indeed growing on the island of Mold, and it is flint moss, which is a dark gray moss that is supposed to be very flammable.
What can possibly go wrong?
So what do you do?
Well, I'll be very eager to go on there and get some.
And the rest is okay with this plan?
Boss, are you okay with getting moss? Doesn't seem very like lucrative, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, I think we should start making a different calculation for shares. People just gathering moss should probably get less.
How do you approach the island of Mold? How does it look like? Do you jump on it? Do you swim towards it?
I would like to steer the raft close to the floating field and, if possible, get on there dry.
Yeah. So when you step on it, it is like a miracle. You would assume that that you just be submerged underwater, but it actually is sturdy enough to carry your weight. And it doesn't even, it's not that you sink in until, up to your knees or something. It really keeps your weight. And you look around for this, what is it called? The flint moss. And let's see how many you find. You find 2 portions, 2 uses, by walking around like for half an hour. You can obviously, although the light is now dimming, but you could spend more time to find more of these valuable plants.
Okay, I'm sorry to piss off everybody, but I would be really eager to get more, and I would spend more time.
So it's now getting dark. What is the rest doing? Do you make camp on the island? Do you stay on the craft? On the raft, sorry.
Adil doesn't like the smell of mold, so she says that this doesn't smell like proper cheese or anything. It smells more like when the rations on our wheat have been moist for too long. I've heard people can go crazy from inhaling too much, like with mushroom stuff.
Oh wow, you're completely right. I'm gonna like move the rations to the opposite side of the raft from wherever this cave is.
And so you all stay on the raft, and then I think it is dark enough now that you would have to use a torch, a Nebri.
Weren't they super flammable?
Or you wait for, you can just camp, pass the night, and then search for the super flammable flint moss, next day.
No, I trust in myself.
All right. So what would it be? Is it forage? Forage is if you spend a whole day or something. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's forage, sort of, because the results make sense. So that would be plus wisdom.
That's -2, so well. One.
Jesus Christ. Let's see.
Well, it was nice knowing Nibri, another of Alyosha's one-shot characters.
Well, first of all, mark wisdom. So you walking over the others can see the torchlight like wandering around over the island. Once in a while, you crouch down to pick something up, and you do get another flint moss that you can write down. Unfortunately, the next time you have a closer look at one of these plants, your torch is not touching anything. It's like you're not stupid or something, but it is the heat of the torch alone causes the patch you're standing on to combust into flames, and you take D4 damage, which is. Shall I roll it, or do you want to roll it? Yeah, I've got a 2 damage. But you're burning at the moment, so unless you you find a way, and you see that where the moss is burning, it burns, down into the island as well. So what do you do?
Okay, I'm running.
You're running to the edge of the island?
Mm-hmm. And trying to jump over to the raft.
So let's make a saving throw with dexterity to see if you arrive at the raft before you take more damage.
6.
You could burn luck to push it up to 7.
Hell yeah.
And so you do arrive on time, and you make the jump onto the raft, but I think your torch, falls into the water, and you have to erase it from your character sheet. So the others seeing a burning Anabri running towards the raft and jumping on it. What do you do?
I'm going to, I guess, soak my bedroll, which sucks, and then just try to catch this elf so as to put out the flames so that our raft doesn't catch on fire. I don't think it will, but you never know.
I think that's quick thinking. So what is quick thinking? Intelligence or wisdom? Wisdom.
Okay, my wisdom's not too horrible, so we will see.
And other people could obviously help.
I grew up in a forge. Fire, I know.
I'll probably help by taking my water skin and sort of squirting it on her.
Okay, so I rolled and I got a 10 plus 1, which is 11.
Oh, wow. And so just for information's sake, Anil, you need to aid. How did you aid?
I have a water skin, so I'm just sort of...
You're just putting water on it. So is that like an information? Well, is it intelligence or wisdom? What do you think? Intelligence, obviously.
I don't think you actually roll for help or hinder. Is that if I look at...
I think it's a 7, isn't it?
If it's... it would probably be int to think fast about the water. Yeah. Should I roll it? Or?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, that's a 5. Yeah, that's a 5.
So I think what's happening is that, the water extinguishes and everything.
Maybe the frog eggs first.
Yeah. Probably your water skin catches, bursts at the seam or something. But you can definitely fix it the next time. So how do you react to the almost burned Anebri?
Hey, are you okay? I'm going to shake him, see if he's still awake.
Yes, I'm okay. Well, this flint moss is extremely flammable. Very useful. Look what I brought.
Oh, so that's why you were on fire?
Well, not these 3 patches. I was able to save those, but if you'd be so kind and take them off me for the moment and keep them away from the fire.
Oh, right. Don't worry. I know fire safety. I stored them somewhere dry and basically at a non-critical part of the raft.
Mm-hmm. I mean, dry is what they want to be, definitely. So I think we reached the second leg of our journey. Frowning, could you make another 2d6 -1?
That's an 8.
A mishap occurs. Let's see. And Chris, could you roll a d12?
I got a 5.
So the next leg of your journey, the scenery doesn't really change much. At least in the beginning, it's the same, bayou style swamp area. Although the trees now start to be more spread apart, and the islands become less and less prominent and frequent. On the positive side is that at the end of your 5-day journey, the rain has finally stopped. It has become a bit colder. There's a pretty frosty wind from the east, but at least it is dry. But if you check your rations, you can see that one of the rations with 5 users is spoiled by the rain. So if somebody could erase that from the character sheet, and obviously, strike off your rations for the next 5 days as well. So you actually leave on the last day. You leave the swamp behind you. The tree line. After the tree line, you can see before you that weird area where salt water and sweet water mixes with its own plant life and animal life. But you can also see not cliffs, but rocks in the water where it is a bit deeper. And on one of the rocks, leading against it, slanted in the water, is the wreck. And if you don't mind, let's have another 5-minute break, and we start exploring the mysterious shipwrecks. So that would be 5-2.
All right, and just to double check, that was 10 days we've traveled so far.
Yes, in total you traveled 10 days.
Okay.
All right, guys.
I'm good with that. That was very close with those lizardmen. Good job. I mean, wow.
It was,
Good that you had the frog eggs.
yeah. Sad to see the
How
little
does-
ones go, of course. But,
Yeah.
she's,
Well, you still have the two.
that's right, but I don't know that, or he doesn't know that. She has the trait disloyal, so she wasn't so loyal to little froglings.
How does Fraunin react to the food being spoiled? I think Fraunin was the one cooking and the one who's most focused on food, I think.
I think he's very pleased that he remembered to buy extra food.
Seeing
And
the positive.
He reminds everyone that they would all be dead if it wasn't for him starving in the swamp.
And Leifer basically agrees, stands beside him, and is like, "That's right. We'd all be dead if it weren't for Boss."
So you see the shipwreck before you. It is, as I said, like half of it is underwater. The what's it called? What's the opposite of aft?
Port. No, is it port? No,
no.
it's stern. Stern. There's aft, and there's I forget. My God.
I think it's called. I've written it down even. Well, the other side.
Isn't
So, yeah, what do you do?
I mean, how far underwater is this thing? Or like the one that is on the deepest end? Like if I was to dive into it, for example.
What do you mean? Like, how high is it above the water?
No, the boat has sunk, right?
Yes. Yeah, half. Like it probably is like it's not super deep where the ship is, but half of it is underwater and the other is sticking out of the water.
So it's not like even the part that's underwater is not really far underwater.
No.
Neil still has that because you made her compass permanently point towards monsters, right? Or the biggest monster in the area or something.
Yeah.
So I think she'll check out that to see if it reads anything off the boat.
It will definitely point towards the ship.
So she'll warn the others then that something big is waiting in that ship. We should probably not go blindly in.
It's probably just big treasure.
Well, there might be some treasure. There was probably a little bit of treasure in that albino crocodile and that swamp shambler, but we sure had to work hard for it.
And you surface folk tend to have treasure that's also burnable, right?
Not when it's been in water.
Yeah. I was wondering if we could set the ship on fire, but maybe that's too hasty. I'll leave it up to Boss's plans. His are better than mine.
Yeah, I think So is there like a cargo hold or something on the ship?
I mean, you're a pirate, so I would think that you have like the basic layout of like typical ships. So why don't you make a no roll, which is plus intelligence.
Yeah, so it's nothing, I guess. Oh, actually, I am smart. Oh, who knew?
Yeah, I know who knew. Lifur.
That's 12.
Oh wow. So
Told
you can ask any question about the subject. So yes, there is a cargo hold, but unfortunately it's the part of the ship that's underwater.
Well, what I'm getting at is that I want to know like how I would get into the cargo hold in a ship like this usually. Like I want to know if there's this hole in the middle, or so I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't see a hole. So it is pressed against this rock, but it doesn't look like the rock has like punched a hole in it. You know that normally like you would access the cargo hold through a hatch on deck. But you could also, dive and look for whether or not there's a hole underwater.
Yeah, okay, but I can't see it from here.
No.
Well, if there is a monster in the ship, I guess it's in the cargo hold. And I we could possibly, and I grab like my fishing net. If we were to put this net down there and see if we could catch something.
I'm for this idea.
And maybe I might be able to try to send something in there.
Oh, that also could work.
Before we come too close.
What sort of thing?
Well, if Anil compass is pointing to the ship, that means there is some monstrosity inside, right? So maybe it would be advantageous to know it in advance what's waiting for us down there. And so I'd like to do the lore eye spell again to look at the ship and maybe see through the hull.
And like, how does it look like? Is it like you're standing there, your hand stretched out, or is it more like
send out an actual eye and check out the ship?
Yeah, that would be fun. Sure, why not? I'd be touching the ship in the same time from the outside to save some power points.
Oh, so first you move the raft next to the boat, to the ship. Okay. And then you touch the hull.
Yes, and for consistency, I would just say that like veins are sprouting into the maybe through the small crevasses, not like the small.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like
Spalten, like between the planks, and try to wiggle their way into the boat to be able to see or sense inside.
I mean, there are obviously like there's tar and everything in between the planks, but your magical vines, they can pass through it. Or try to. Let's see what happens. So do you want to check out the whole ship? That would be moderate, I guess. And then you touch the thing, which is 0. And there's one target, which is and you can get like this flash of insight, or you can give it a duration of 1, in which case you have like the mental image for some time in your mind, which would be 4.
Okay.
Or you can reduce the effect to minor, and then you don't get like a mental image of the creature itself, but more like a vague idea.
I'd use 4 power. I got 2 power with the staff, and I'll burn one of the frog eggs.
When you take out the frog egg, or like what you think is a frog egg, you hold in your hand like a small, like the size of a hand, a frog child, and it is extending its tiny arms to you, and it cries.
And Amir will rush. It's a little baby! It's a little baby frog! And
I'm
she
crushing it in my hand.
Do you want to hinder him?
Yes, she will hinder him.
All right, so let's see if you can crush the poor. Like, who's making the move? The defender, I think, rolls.
It could be just rolls his spell move and I bump it down
in order to prevent that is also totally cool. If you agree, Anebri or
Perfect.
Alyosha, actually. Yeah, nice. So like for the sake of the argument, let's say you have 4 PowerPoints, and yeah, let's make a roll.
12.
12. And so that means the creature is crushed.
Yeah.
Asbjørn, do you agree? Yeah.
I agree. Anil is crushed as well.
Leifer actually just says, "Boss, elves are scary."
I think I just like frown over at what's going on, and like shake my head and I like look towards the boat.
So, Anebri, you're starting to lose your sense of your immediate surrounding. The others now hear another crying in his pocket, but that's beside the point. So your mind flies through the ship, and it is. I know that you're looking for monsters, but and you do see like slowly moving, almost square creatures with these. They have claws, and they have this like thick. What's it called? Like the outside of chitin. Is that a word?
Carapace.
Carapace. That's the word I was looking for. So they are crabmen. But while you are while your mind is flying to the ship, you're also drawn to one of the cabins, and inside the cabin lies a human, floats a human body underwater with a crimson robe, and like you have the definitely the impression that this is a magic user as well, and you assume that they will have something useful for you. But yeah, you have the position of these crabmen, who seem to be the worst monster in the ship. And while you and they're all underwater. Actually, you pass a gigantic toad that is in the mast room. And then while your inner eye is, you got a 12 plus. So while your eye is flying back, you also get, you see it must be the prison cell or something, like the room where they would put unruly sailors. And there is like a floating chained to the mast sailor, and you can see that they are underwater and everything, but they move. Their eyes are open and glowing, and they move, and they seem to even follow your gaze while you fly through it. And then you're back in your body.
And while she was out of it, I'll be right into her pockets to save this little frog.
Obviously. And yeah, you can find the only survivor of the 12 frog eggs, and it it hugs your index finger and doesn't want to let go.
I'll swaddle it in sort of moisten up my robe and swaddle it and feed it like little pieces of. I'll probably put the rations in the water as well, so to sort of soften them up and feed it.
Yeah. And the frog man baby, is it a frog baby? Gobbles down the moist food. So, Anebri, what do you say when you come by? I don't know. Do you? Last question, Anil. Do you hide the baby?
Yeah. Probably should probably see it, or try to hide it away. And when she comes to, I'll look at her with sort of tears in my eyes and say, "The real monster here is you. What did you do such a thing to totally disregarding that I just sold 3 of this little one's siblings?" But
It must be some sort of weird. Have you invented frogomancy?
Well, I'm really sorry I had to do this, but it was really worth it. So there's this treasure in the hold, and we have to be aware of frogmen. So and I saw some type of undead sailor in in another area of the ship, and I completely omit the magic user, which I hope to sneak to. Oh, sorry, yeah, Crabman. And I hope to sneak up to the magic user at some point and completely omit that I saw him.
So could you summon a frog monster to fight them with your powers?
Unfortunately not. We will have to wait for this one to grow.
I have to admit, you see you do that was kind of eerie.
Shrug it off.
So, Anebri, you've got a pretty good picture of the lower deck, and you know that the giant toad is on the aft mast. It's like a room about the mast itself. You know that the magic user is in the mid ship, pretty much in the middle, but in the part that is underwater. And you know that the ghost or the zombie, whatever it is, it is in the other mast room on the fore of the ship. So what do you do?
Okay, so I would suggest we it's like the toad was, and after like the backwards mast room around
Yeah,
the mast, right?
Aft mast and bow mast. I just checked.
All right. So, I forgot that there is another toad creature. So maybe you would want to leave your small friend outside. But there is another danger in the ship, like a giant toad. So I would suggest we not run into that and go to the cargo hold. And as I said, we will have to avoid those crabmen. Which did I see any treasure or only saw the monsters, right?
Well, I mean, you specifically wanted to look for monsters, and the only reason that your mind was distracted by the wizard is because there was a magic source. I mean, there are treasures in the captain's cabin. But you didn't see anything.
Okay, so basically I relay that information. And
so with that giant toad thing, though, couldn't you just suck the life out of it? Or does that spell only work on babies?
well, babies. It might seem cruel, but sometimes we have to do sacrifices.
Heinal looks very disapprovingly when you say that.
I think I'll try to rock the little frogling to sleep and make sure that it's well fed, and then sort of try to gently transfer it to Heinal and make him the babysitter for this.
Yeah, Heinal touches your arm and says, I will keep it safe for Pen. I swear to Pen.
Thank you.
So when you were working together on the raft, they were listening to your, talking about Pen, and they're definitely drawn towards the religion, but also they are all about saving the babies. So what do you do?
How far away from the boat?
Yeah, you're in touching distance.
Yeah, I think I just go on the boat and I go just directly down to where I think the cargo hold is. And I don't know what the other people are doing, but that's what I want to do.
I'm following boss.
So when you climb up, you can see that. So you're climbing probably on the lower side, the one that is, in the water or just about above the water. And from where you stand, you can see that on the deck, which is on the aft, you can see like a smashed, pretty small, what's it called, like a window in the on deck itself, leading to the lower deck. But it's too small for everyone but a halfling and maybe a dwarf if she wiggles through it. And then where you assume the cargo hold is, that part of the deck is underwater, so you can't really. You would have to dive down to have a look.
Okay, so I guess. So yeah, I that's through the window though. I need to be inside the boat to dive down to the cargo deck.
So I don't know. Like the boat is lying in the water like this.
Mhm.
This is the aft. This is the
Other side.
bow. Yeah, the bow. And so here's one mast which is slanted.
All right.
And there's this smashed window, and then
Okay,
here
I see.
underwater, it must be another hatch to go down to the cargo hold. But then you would have to dive.
Hey,
get
boss,
there.
I can try to break a hole through one of the decks. The wood's probably rotten.
Nah, I like swimming, and I think I just like dive in.
And I'll say that this is because it's the aft that's upright out
Yeah.
of the water. So I'll say that I'm not really that familiar with these big sailing ships, but I would presume the captain's quarter were in the aft to because of the wind, and then the messy stuff like cooking would be in the front. So maybe we'll check out the captain's quarter and split up.
I don't know if we should split up, but I'll do it if boss says to do it. Boss, if we're going down, I can take off my chainmail because I think I'd sink like a stone. Unless you want me to stand on top, and if things chase you, you can come up and I'll thump them.
I think like just before like I dive in, I'd probably say like it's not a disadvantage to sink fast when you're going down, but you might not be able to get it up again.
Yeah, I don't like drowning.
I mean, don't you know how to take a chainmail off very quickly underwater?
Actually, do I or can I? I probably have experience in such. And I know if it won't work. I don't think I can.
Yeah, I mean, taking a chainmail off is not very difficult. I mean, it's just like you take you use gravity pretty much.
Huh.
I have one, so I know.
Yeah, I think getting up is obviously difficult with a chainmail. Getting rid of it once you're underwater is maybe also possible, but then your armor is underwater. I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna take off my chainmail and store it on the ship.
So Fraunin just dived into towards the bow. What is the rest doing?
Actually, if he just dove in, I'm just gonna kind of wait there anxiously because I'm like, boss, I don't think I can.
But you do climb up on the ship itself and stand there with your chainmail on.
I stand guard. So if boss comes up and things are following him, I will thump them.
Okay. And just to be sure, with your chainmail or without?
It would take too long to take. How long does it take to take off my chainmail?
Like 2 minutes or something.
Okay,
I can help.
I'll pull off my chainmail and hand it to him, and that way. And then once I'm ready, then I'll follow Fraunin.
Okay. And Anil?
I'm trying to decide if we should split the party or not.
I mean, you can cover more ground. The disadvantage is when you have to fight, obviously. But I mean, Anebri has a good idea about where the monsters are.
I will look at the. Actually, I think she'll look to see where Anebri is going and go the other way. She can't stand her now.
Okay, so I like to. The magic user was like towards the middle of the ship.
Yeah.
Right?
It pretty much bang in the middle.
And there's no hatch directly there, right?
No, there's a hatch at the aft that you can see, and then you assume that there's one in the bow as well, but that is underwater.
Okay, so I try to scramble up to the hatch in the aft to get to the middle and drive through.
So, and Anil is following him.
I'm now. No, if she's going there, she'll go the other way. She'll follow the others. She has had enough of her for a while.
So you're following the others?
And I'm leaving the magic user alone.
Oh wow. So let's switch to Fraunen. Fraunen, you dive underwater, and you can see before you where the mast hits the water, and aftwards, so towards the aft, there is a pretty big hatch. So like one where you would lower the goods to take them out to bring them in more efficiently. And when you swim towards that and you dive into the bowels of the ship, you can see you are in like a pretty big room. Everything is smashed and thrown together. There are a lot of floating hammocks where the sailors used to sleep. There's also like at least a dozen floating bodies, and you can see 10 crates that are obviously too heavy to float, so they are still on the ground. What do you do? And you can see afterwards you can see 3 doors on both sides, and then the halls extend deeper or higher into the ship, but because the water is so muddy, you can't see too far.
Well, I dive down to like those boxes.
Yeah.
And try to see how heavy they are.
They are. So how strong are you? They are. Let's see.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, it's one weight, especially underwater.
Well, I have 17 in strength, and I am a pirate, so I think this is well within.
That should be. Yeah, I think it's the problem here is more to get a grab on them, to get a hold on them, because they're also pretty big. So you can definitely grab one and swim back, or you can still hold your breath and try to open one of them.
No, I try to grab one and swim back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Anibli, you are at the aft, and you can look down into on the aft of the ship there are also 2 doors, and then there's a hatch leading down, and you can look through it, and it looks like there's a table, and there are maps on the table, so it's probably something like a mass hall. But from where you stand, you can also see there's a raised construction where you assume is the captain's quarter. So you could try one of the two doors, or you can try to slip through the, try to wiggle through the, what's it called? Oberlicht. Do you know what I mean? Like a glassy hatch type.
A portal?
Yeah, it's more like it's a window too for the people in the mass to have light.
I think, sorry, a porthole, like a hole in the
Portal.
porch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'd like to, and the so this magic user I was seeing, was he in the captain's quarter, or do I have an impression where it was?
Yeah, the magic user was more in the middle of the ship. So if this is the ship, here's the mess hall. This is probably the captain's quarter, and the magic user was in the middle. Like, I mean, she was floating in the water, so it must be just about underwater.
Well, since I'm here, I'll try to get into the captain's quarter and see what's valuable in here.
All right, so let's get my map. Yeah, you can climb down into. Well, you're actually. I think you're too tall. Let's make a saving throw with dexterity to wiggle through without cutting yourself on the glass.
That's an 8.
So obviously, you know, the shards, they cut your. Do you have a backpack or like a rucksack or something?
Well, I suppose so. I didn't buy it, but somehow I have to carry my stuff.
Yeah, let's say you need to leave your sack on deck when you move through. And so what you can take with you is definitely your the staff. And so in the as I said, in the mass, there's a table. Let's see. Nautical charts that you assume must be worth something.
Okay, and they're, I'll grab those. They're
and
light.
then there's two doors, one to the left and one to the right.
Okay, I'll take the left one.
And so the left one actually leads to the captain's quarter. It's a big room with windows on the back. There are there's a beautiful map hanging on the wall. You can definitely see like a bed where the cap. No, that's the. I'm sorry. There's no bed. There's a desk. There's also like a strong box. And that's what you see.
Okay, so I'll try to get to the strong box and open it.
It is locked.
Okay. Can I? Yeah. I guess I'll shout and get the others here.
Okay. I mean, the others are actually. What is Anil doing? doing, you were following, I think, Frownin to the edge of the water where Leaf was standing. Do you want to also dive down?
Yeah, or maybe she sort of goes into the water and thinks about going down. Then she thinks better of it and decides to go back and confront Nibri.
Yeah, you also hear Anibri shouting, and just when you turn to go to the aft, Frownin appears from under the water with a crate in his hands.
Yeah, and she'll turn maybe when she cools down a little because she's standing halfway in the water. She huffs and she goes to help Anibri.
Hey, boss. I'll help him with the crate.
What's in it? What's in it?
So you break open the crate, and to your utter disappointment, it is filled with vases that don't look particularly crafty or beautiful. They are stuffed with straw so that they don't break. I mean, they will fetch a price, but it's not the gems or the gold that you were hoping for.
Damn it. And I plump down in the water again because there's more crates, right?
That's right.
Right. If I have my chain off, I'll dive in and help boss.
Cool. And Anil.
Yeah, because there's no doors directly to them. It's just this window.
Yeah, there's just a window too.
Yeah, I'll wrap my oh, I have this tricorn hat as well, so I'll wrap it around my hand. Try to remove a little bit of the glass, and then I'll crawl in after.
Yeah. All right. So I think by removing the shards, maybe you do remove the danger from that window. You also see the table with the maps, and you hear Anibri's voice from the door to the left.
And I'll stand in the doorway and say, so it looks like you do need others. And I guess we sort of need you too, but I wish you weren't just so callous.
Well, I might appear callous, but I was only having the best interest of our team in mind. And look what I found. I just need some help to smash or open this box. Seems valuable.
So there's also on the desk itself, there are a couple of letters and nautical instruments, maybe like what's it called? Stuff to measure distances. And there's on a small table bolted to it. There's a collapsible telescope. And then there's these strong box.
I think these nautical instruments they fascinate me because they don't use compasses on the elven float fleet, but so they only have this crude crystal ball that she now uses as a holy symbol. She'll scoop them up and study them and stash them aside.
They look really like well done. It's mostly made from brass. It's like intricate work that you don't know if this is elven or what the what this like technological background of these things is. The telescope itself is also really beautiful, made with like white leather wrapped brass and then crystal lenses inside. And yeah, there's still the locked strong box.
I'll pick up the instruments at least and help Anibri.
I have lock picks, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, so we'll probably haul it out and onto the deck, and maybe we'll go back and look at or try to get the telescope. Yes.
And then there's this beautiful map on the wall as well. But let's switch over to Leifer and Fraunin. You have been, carrying crates, like the next crate out of the water Fraunin, opened it, and it's vases again. And Leifer was passing you. You grabbed one, put it back on board, open it up, and it's more vases.
Sure is a lot of vases. We probably need to find a bigger city to get all of these off our hands. It's way too much for a small shithole like any city around here.
It's kind of too bad that they risked their lives for vases.
Well, we're sort of doing that right now too, though, so I guess we shouldn't judge them too hard.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Whoa, you are so deep.
And it's empty down there now?
No. They're in total. There are still 7 crates left. You could theoretically try to loot the floating bodies, and you have seen the cabin doors.
Yeah, I think Fraunin keeps. I mean, maybe one of them is filled with gold.
There's always a hope.
So you
boss.
Okay, you keep on fishing for crates.
Imagine how annoying that would be if you got like 8 crates and one of them was filled with gold and you didn't get it.
True. And so now, Anebri, did you stay in the captain's cabin while Anil is getting the others, or are you looking for the wizard?
Yeah, I kind of was hoping to get some help opening the strongbox, because I don't.
Yeah, I think Anil is getting probably Fraunin.
I was thinking we could move it out on deck. So
Okay.
we sort of, if we get discovered and we can bring it, and if not, then Fraunin can quite open it.
Though if Leifer sees the chest suddenly there and no one put it there, when boss comes up, she'll be like, "Boss, look, a magic chest!"
So, I mean, it's not all of a sudden there. It's carried by Anil and Anebri, probably. So yeah, there's a chest.
I think like I size it up and like make sure it doesn't seem to be another one, like to be able to contain more vases.
It is definitely smaller than the crates and has a lock. So supposedly there's something valuable inside.
Actually, also check inside like the vases just to see if anything's in them.
Okay.
Very smart move. But no, there's nothing.
Wet straw. Yeah, I think Fraunin like gets immediately like seeing the lock is just like, oh, finally, and like goes and picks up his like lockpick set from a sack.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Pick locks, disarm traps.
I'd smash it, but boss gets mad when I smash chests.
I mean, chests can be valuable.
So yeah, roll plus dex. I mean, you have your tools.
Yeah. Okay. That is a 7.
Yeah, I think like this takes much longer that you are happy with, and you get irritated by the whole, because you know there's something inside, but it just doesn't, it's so, this lock is so intricate and complicated. So burn a point, or what would it be? Like being pissed off. Is it wisdom, charisma?
Yeah,
Probably wisdom. You're
Yeah.
becoming less wise.
Yeah, that's true.
Sounds very appropriate, yeah.
And it's not open yet. So what are the people who stand around either cheering on or complaining about the time doing? And do you wait until it's open, or do you get back into the ship?
I probably like watch it like curiously, get bored, and then just keep watch because I know there are monsters around. So, if a crabman comes up, I'll bash him.
That's true.
Would probably be a good time for Anibri to slip away and find the secret magic user.
Yes.
Maybe I'm busy trying to figure out how to get this telescope loose, so you can slip away.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Cool. So you climb back into the ship, and you try the other door, and you're like in a you don't have the inner eye that has the whole layout, but you still remember where the cabin was. The problem is while you're walking down the hallway, there's like this slow movement coming towards you and like a clicking noise. And I think maybe this is a good time to go to the break, like end of the session, because we have 10 minutes, and I don't want to go over time, if that is okay for you guys. So let's go over the end of session. When you reach the end of a session, do the following. If you fulfilled your alignment goal at least once, mark XP. I think definitely Anebri gets that for being deliciously evil.
Yeah, it was an excellent scene. I loved it.
I think I might have corrected an imbalance by offering to cover a lot more of the ration since I did forget it the last time.
That is true.
Overcorrected and imbalanced, I would say.
And what about Frownin?
Yeah, I'm never getting XP.
That's also and Asbjørn?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the stuff with the lizard men, but it wasn't really correcting an imbalance. Unless they were unbalanced in the fight against the frogmen.
Yeah.
So, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Perhaps
so
I literally corrected an imbalance by fixing the fleet, but I didn't.
the raft. There was an imbalance there. That I point just for the pun.
Yes.
And then if you fulfilled at least one trait in a memorable way, I think again, Alyosha, can you name the traits, or like the trait that you think you fulfilled?
That's it. I was trying to be manipulative.
Yeah, definitely. And Asbjørn?
Could have been both towards the other little floglings that I sacrificed to the lizardmen. I was probably disloyal, but maybe also a little bit disloyal to Nibri, or just leaving her on her own.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you wanted to prove a point as well, that he needs you. Yeah, mark 1 XP, and then daring and mad. Frownin.
I mean, I dove right down into the cargo hold without any precautions. So
yeah, not listening to your comrades, just leaving them. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And also repeating actions at least, what was it, seven times, hoping for this different results. Seems like a little bit mad.
That's true. Seems a bit like this definition that I've heard a million times.
And I think Lifu plays very silly, so I think that is spot on. So the next step is, if you're a fighter, mark XP, if you solve the problem with violence, that didn't happen. If you're a thief, mark XP, if you acquired something by stealth or trickery. Oh man, I just quickly, you open the strongbox, obviously, and there is inside the cabin's, let's see, captain's cabin. There's a strongbox with a casket of liquor and a bookkeeping ledger. Not the most valuable thing.
That's untrue. If you're talking about Frownin, this must be good liquor, being locked in like this.
That is true.
If you take it for yourself, you would have acquired it by trickery. You say, "Oh, it's only this book in here."
Yeah. Nah, I don't know. I think yeah, this is a cheap brand. No, not worth anything.
Oh, so that's an XP. If you're a cleric, mark XP if you fulfilled the tenet of your deity. Be like the water. Flexible.
Could say that just going with the flow with those lizardmen was being like water.
Yeah.
Adapted to a new situation like water.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So take an XP for that. And then...
That is such an XP from this...
Yeah, it is. The phrasing is a very on point. If you're a magic user, mark XP if you solved a problem with magic. I mean, you did definitely create problems for yourself, but you also solved, you know, you knew where the monsters are. So if you agree, take an XP for that, and then answer the following question as a group. Did we make an exciting discovery? You made the discovery of a mold island. Not sure how exciting that was.
I mean,
a man was literally on fire. That is exciting.
That is true.
And I would say that the little frogling is quite exciting as well. That's just a new.
And kind of also that the wizard in the town uses live frogman babies.
for horrible experiments.
It's the most exciting.
He's also
All
a frogomancer.
Might be. Did we overcome a difficult obstacle? Well, the biggest obstacle today was probably the lizard people that
I mean, even though we didn't fight, I think like getting to the boat has been like, it's a pretty, like, just because we found that where the dangers are doesn't mean it's not difficult. Like, it's an obstacle.
Well,
Yeah.
we nearly died from the lizardmen.
Wow.
I mean, if without diplomacy, we would have been like they had us to rights.
You would have been.
well, they would have killed Leafo first, that's for sure. Okay, yeah, that was an obstacle, definitely. And then, did we acquire some memorable booty?
They haven't really acquired it yet. So if we if we get that telescope and everything home.
That is true. It does acquire mean that you have to bring it back to your steadying, probably.
We did acquire horrible nightmares from like the death of that frog baby.
That doesn't count. Okay, guys, thank you so much. That was the last thing. No XP for that. Chris, you won't be with us next time, I think. Or will you?
I should be.
Yes, cool. All right, so normally we would have to go back, but that makes no sense. We are where we want to be, and there's still a ship to explore. So thank you very much, guys, and see you next time.
Thank you. That was fun. Take care.
Really fun.
Horse out.